Our What If webinars have covered a series of topics falling under the customer experience umbrella and have seen us chatting with conduct risk expert Sally Pearce about turning customer complaints into customer loyalty and discussing how companies can stop serving bad content to good customers with Episerver's product marketing manager John Field. In addition to this, we've also had our first customer spotlight, chatting with customer experience transformation expert Alex Russell Rutherford about how companies can improve their CSAT scores just by doing things differently, and how Wessex Water's Report a Problem tool has revolutionised their customer journeys with smarter support to customers in unexpected stressful situations. Here are some highlights from the episodes that focused on providing your customers with an outstanding customer experience.
But I think the key, and coming on from those two examples, I think it helps. I think the key is finding the customers who need to talk to you, making it easy for them to talk to you. I'm doing this in my hands, and we'll talk about my triangle.
That's
so
triaging.
I'm kind of saying, if you, I know it's not quite a triangle, is it? So if you imagine there's a triangle, and at the bottom you've got all the customers who need contact with you, and at the top you've got the contact with the service team. So what I think we need to do is you need to get your customers at the bottom getting through to that service team, but the numbers. So I talked earlier, didn't I, about 79% of people have smartphones. So just as a broad brush, if we say that 79% of customers can be well serviced by an efficient technology solution, then that leaves you 21% who need to talk to someone. It might be a bit different because complaints are a bit different. It's not always about having it. Sometimes the situation is such you need to talk to someone. So then if you can take that 80% out and give them a good technology solution and give them a good way of communications, and good technology doesn't necessarily mean exciting stuff. It can just be good comms on the website. You know, I mean, for example, a few years ago, everyone got very excited about telephone systems that dial 1 for this and press that for that. But customers hate them. I mean, they absolutely, no one wants to use them.
But now they've moved on so much as well. So that's just old hat now, isn't it? I mean,
it is, isn't it?
You've got phone systems where you've got sentiment analysis, and you know, if a customer's sounding irate at the start of that, then it'll triage them through to speak to somebody a lot quicker. You know, you've got such sophisticated systems now around sentiment analysis. You know, the words that people are saying. The fact that you can join up you can join all the channels into one single customer view, so that if somebody's phoning up, you know, the company already knows that they've phoned up multiple times before, or they've had a website inquiry about the same thing, or they've, you know, that they've been, you know, like your friend, they've been on Twitter, and you know, there's ways of joining that up through a really great digital experience platform to be able to have this single view, and you can triage them instantly then.
Well, exactly, and I think that's the great thing. And then the people dealing who need that face-to-face can then easily get to the customer service, and then when they get to them, getting to people who are good, getting to people who really understand how to talk to customers, and knowing that the 20% or whatever percent that are coming through the process are the ones who need that hand-holding and support.
Treat your personalization strategy seriously. It's not about what fun or interesting thing can I personalize. We're looking for tangible business benefit ultimately. So let's be realistic about what personalization can achieve for your business, where in your digital estate it makes sense to deploy it. It might not be in the obvious shiny way. So a really simple example I've seen of this is, so Very, the clothing company, they looked at the customer's IP, so their address, their geolocation. They used that to do a weather lookup, and then as a result of the weather lookup, they then personalized the sort of landing experiences. So as you were browsing around the site, it was offering you clothes that were a bit more appropriate to the weather that you're experiencing right now. Because they recognize that that's a very transactional sort of factor in, I might be going online and that will have an effect on my psychology and what I'm thinking. So it might not be a big, shiny, kind of cool thing that's really obvious. It might be something that's done a bit in the background and just subtly makes things better. So that would be tip one. Tip two would be, don't underestimate the human side of this. It's the technologies are really good. And they can help you assemble that experience into something really compelling. But you've still got to make sure that the rules are right. You know, the principles on why you're personalizing in certain ways are set up correctly. Your goals are clear. All that kind of stuff is critical. And then finally, I think I would say, because I focused a little bit on the zero-party data at the end, I would say think about what explicit personalization can do. I.e., can we personalize based on things the customer is actually telling us, rather than things that we're trying to sort of infer or consolidate all this clever data together. So get started in that way might be a good way to do it. So anything from, you know, on-site questionnaires that actually then you're using the outcomes of that questionnaire to actually drive the outcome.
The analogy of thinking about your digital strategy as a journey is a really useful one, because it can be confusing in terms of how the vision, KPIs, a roadmap and potentially a backlog hang together. And like you say, the vision is really your destination. So where do you want to get to? KPIs we tend to call mile markers to measure your progress towards that vision or towards that destination. The roadmap is your chosen route, and the backlog will tend to be all the different routes you could have potentially taken. And I think the difference, based on working with different clients, the difference between having a vision or not means we've got something to work back from. So if we know where a client wants to get to, we can reverse engineer what needs to be done. And even if that's a direction of travel and not a really well thought out list of goals and measurements, then that's still useful. I think without that in place, it's almost like being in no man's land, and the goalposts can keep moving and activity can become unfocused and your results essentially end up becoming diluted. And alternatively, I think the vision needs to, it should be ambitious, but it needs to be realistic as well. I think it's important not to say, you know, digital transformation is our vision. I think true digital transformation will take decades. And recently I saw that the Exec Director of Government Digital Services, who look after .gov.uk, has even said that by 2030, 19 years after they formed, in terms of what they will achieve, they will fix the basics, because transforming government services meant transforming government itself. So it's actual culture change, digital transformation. And I think that top-down approach of almost thinking about digital transformation as a whole has led to that fatigue we see with customers and clients and businesses in the last 2 or 3 years, because you know, you start to realize what the true cost is involved and what kinds of timescales you're working with. So yeah, I think it's important to have a vision, but also let's make sure that vision is realistic as well. When we're starting a digital strategy, we tend to be gathering a lot of information from our clients and customers. And we use something called the 3 C's model, which is a fairly well-known industry model that looks at the factors needed for success. So we'll be asking a client or a customer, what are your company's strengths? What are your competitor or comparator strengths? And what are your customer needs? And if you think about that as a Venn diagram of 3 different circles, it's where the company's strengths and the customer needs overlap, but where your competitors don't, that offers the opportunity to differentiate. And equally, where your competitor or comparator strengths overlap with customer needs, but your company isn't meeting those needs, then that offers the potential for learning. So by taking that approach, we find that really effective for any company, regardless of the sector or whether they're competitive or non-competitive. So in the utility space, for example, like water, all the companies are aiming for the same outcome, and generally their customers will want to do the same thing, you know, pay a bill, submit a meter reading and so on. But how they actually deliver those experiences is completely different from company to company. So and this links back to the vision. So if the vision or the goal is frictionless customer journeys, then it's not enough. It's going to be a given that those companies want to shift high volume, low complexity transactions online, but it's how they bring their how they do that authentically as a company that's important, and why they're special and how they're doing that compared to their comparators or competitors is how you differentiate. So that model is really effective in helping us to do that.
So there you have it, the highlights so far from our What If webinar series that have covered customer experience. If you would like to catch up on any of our previous episodes, you can find them on the News and Insights page of our website at mando.agency and on the Mando YouTube and Vimeo channels. We hope to see you attending a What If webinar in 2021 and gaining valuable insights from a range of professionals striving to improve customer experiences using digital channels.